Good afternoon. Welcome to another Kerfuffle showcase. Delighted to have back on the show Roy from Rightval. How are you? Are you okay, Roy?
I'm really good, thank you. Yeah, weather's miserable, but we're smiling. I'm hiding. Got the heating on. Typical southerner.
It's all right here in Manchester, actually, for unusually, so I'll keep quiet. It'll probably be floods in the next hour. Nice to see you're one of the few people, unlike myself, who's taken the time, energy, ironing nice white shirt. That's good to see. I'm in this now for the rest of the winter, basically. This is my full winter gear.
I've only got a shirt on because I had to go and see a client today, so otherwise I'd have had a polo shirt on.
You keep it going with your key worker activity. I like it. You keep going. Roy, obviously, we caught up with you earlier in the year and learned obviously about the setup here. We're here today to talk about the fully nurtured element that you're bringing to the table here, which is really, really obviously exciting. Do you want to just give us just a brief overview again, just in terms of what Rightval is and what your background is, and then we'll jump into the new stuff.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Simon. So Rightval was basically born out of a need for what we felt was an affordable product that was easy to use. I mean, we talked about this just now, Simon. If it's not a one-click wonder or a plug and play, I myself just get bored and switch off, and I'm sure I'm not alone.
Straight away.
Yeah, it's got to, as you say, plug and play, get it working. You don't mind filling a few bits, but yeah, you don't want to overcomplicate. And as I said last time, that's where kind of Rightval was born. Matt, who's the programmer behind it, is an absolute genius and a whiz, listens to me from my experience as an estate agent as well. We then launched at the start of this year the managed pack, because again, we were listening to what clients were saying. I think that's really important, listening to feedback, talking to our sort of the agents out there that are using this and seeing what they like and dislike. And one of the things we noticed very quickly, and it frustrated both Matt and I, was that agents just weren't putting it to good use. And I'm sure that's the same across the board with all the other different sort of valuation tool options out there. And so that's where the managed program came in. So we create all the Facebook adverts. We don't charge extra. It's all included within the $199 for the Facebook marketing, and just drive leads to you. And it's down to you as the agent. Just pick up that phone, get on the phone, get talking to people, and do what you're good at.
Yeah.
And again, I think that was not just feedback, Simon. That was, I think, Matt and I's frustration that we knew we had a good product, and we could see that people probably weren't getting the best out of it. So that's where that was born. And then a lot of conversations I've had, particularly coming out of lockdown, with agents who were looking for sort of new ways to generate leads, bolster up their business. 9 out of 10, I would say, without actual stats, just don't have any kind of, I suppose, blog, regular contact, newsletter that goes out. Those that do very well with it. I know I do here with our estate agency side as well.
It takes time and dedication, though, doesn't it, Roy? Really, and then unfortunately, in that realm, if you're like invited out to get to a Val or you feel you can get a bit of business elsewhere, those ones are always pushed into the to be filed later pile, aren't they?
Totally, absolutely. And I think it is easy to sort of run away and be busy fools and kind of forget about things. And you hear people saying, "Oh, I don't want to pay somebody to write my blogs." Well, any good agent should be able to write some articles at some point, but it's having that consistency, Simon. And this we talk about it with Facebook videos. I know Chris Watkin goes on about it. Just constantly put good quality content out there. So, again, from feedback, people weren't using blogs. People were talking to clients, might not get hold of them in the first instant, might try them again, and then it would just sit there. And I regularly said to people, "So, what are you putting that into? What sort of system are you?" And it was just this kind of, there was that kind of, I suppose, tumbleweed moment over the phone or on a Zoom call. And from talking to Emily, who's our absolute marketeer whiz, she came up with the idea of the nurture program. So effectively, I suppose really this is a start and end product that we can now deliver to the market very cost effectively. So through the managed system, Emily then sets up for all the leads to come in, feeds them into a regular nurture system. We just mentioned just now, that's letters that are created for a 12-month period.
Yeah.
On top of that, we also give a marketing update, not specifically for your area, but as a general.
Yeah.
And then we have a news flash. Again, like we said, if Boris decides to sort of double the length of time that we've got the stamp duty exemption for, then that would go out to all the agents' clients.
Yeah.
The benefit of that is that the customer at the end of that email is seeing content coming from that agent. It doesn't come from Rightval, it comes from the agent. So that agent is seen as, again, that kind of go-to person. They're just sort of 2-3 times a month, just touching base. So you're not overdoing it. I think sometimes you can
the expert in their area, isn't it, really? It's the critical consistency. And as you said, even if they don't have the time to read every one of these articles in full, the fact that it's there subliminally in the background with, you know, relevant hyperlocal information and everything else is really useful, isn't it?
It is. I mean, we don't do it as a local thing. We do it more as a sort of a generic thing, and just sort of reiterate what's going on with the market. And that's what people
that's the area that Chris kind of fits in, isn't it? If you want that local element there, if you're doing the overview there, you're doing the macro situation, aren't you? Because to be able to, you couldn't go down to the micro level and do it at the price point, could you? Because by definition, you're doing too much work with it. I think you're absolutely spot on in terms of that point about you get people jumping in for a while, they get a bit of a, you know, they get a bit of a blog going, and then, you know, the internet's just replete with all these lost graveyards of blogs, aren't they? That haven't been updated or so.
But regularly, whenever I get, I get notifications through our system that somebody's kind of logged on to Rightval, sort of set up a trial or whatever. And the first thing I always do, Simon, is I'll always look at what their social media presence is. And I can't say disappointing, because I've learned, over the last few years, how important it is to have that in place. But it is difficult. I get it. I totally get it. It's very, very difficult to keep the consistency. It's having the time to do it. I think, as you say, as a lister, as an estate agent, as a business owner, somebody rings you up, I've got a house I want to put on the market, can you come and value it? Everything else just gets dropped and you go, because that's, in theory, your gold dust. But what you've got to be looking at is, what have you got going in the background that is going to give you that contact with clients over the next 12, 18, 24 months, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. It's just keeping it going, keep pushing it. And it literally is, for an agent, totally hands off. They don't have to do anything at all, apart from just pick up the phone and ring the leads when they come in.
Yeah, that's the least you can do, isn't it? Somebody who goes on and on. And here we go. The wonderful Zoe, Roy M. Fever.
Oh, God, she's still
questions again, Zoe. I see. Are you in a cupboard? Thank you for that.
I'm hiding in my office downstairs.
Good stuff. Anyway, okay, good. So let me just recap then. So it was it? Did you say the reason for kicking this off with your Emily suggested it was a good idea? Was that right?
It was feedback that I got every time I spoke to a client, or Emily was on a lot of the phone calls with me. We're sort of going through clients who are existing or new signups, and people just didn't have an understanding of how to set up. We hear this word funnels. Everybody goes on about funnels. But I think it frightens a lot of people. Estate agents aren't marketeers. And this is what we kind of decided to do, is we realised that people they weren't interested, Simon. We all kind of think we want to do it, but it's like, I haven't got time to do it. I mentioned to you, there was a product recently that I looked at, signed up for, realised I didn't have time to do anything with it. I have cancelled it. Nothing against the product. It's just my time. I just don't have the time. So this is very much automated on the back of it. They just don't have to do anything at all, to be fair.
See that's a whole list of different products I've signed up to and not implemented properly, basically.
But we all do it, don't we? But we all do it.
It's really, really hard. First of all, the plethora of solutions out there that on the face of it are, and this is probably the issue with it. If we're honest, they probably don't, whether they do it deliberately or not, it's oversold in terms of how easy it is to get it actually, into a kind of content machine point of view where it's just ticking over. Yes, you can get to that position, but you don't go into it. You fool yourself. You don't go into it with your eyes open. And certainly a lot of providers don't bother to actually say, well, actually, yeah, it is a bit of a trouble getting it going, but they should be a bit honest and say, once you put the time and energy in, then you're okay. But again, who does have the time and energy in this day and age, don't we?
And we don't. And I think that's the two key points there, is people just don't have the time at all. And people also, I worry that people haven't got the foresight to be thinking about next year's business, the year after, and so on and so on. They're great wins today. Don't get me wrong, that's fantastic.
That's absolutely critical, isn't it? And look, I've been saying to pretty much everyone who's coming onto this show, bloody hell, we'd have all snapped everybody's hands off if in May or June you'd have said we'd have returned to this kind of consistent back marketplace, wouldn't you? The problem with it, as we know, is that we've bounced back and we have literally been out the door. The agents have been out the door, just getting whatever business is there. And actually, that leads to that horrible cliff face angle in terms of what goes on with marketing often, whereby, you prospect, quite effectively when clearly things are quiet. Then you start getting busy, and naturally, the prospecting falls off the side of the cliff, or the effort that goes into the marketing falls off the side of the cliff. And so when you reach that, for a while, boards breed boards, but the minute that stops to happen, you hit a brick wall, don't you? And that's why that horrible feast and famine thing happens cyclically in so many businesses.
Yeah, it does. Every time I've been guilty of it myself in 23 years. I can remember back to having those scenarios. But again, we were talking briefly, sort of slightly away from Rightval, but this is the mentality behind it. We've just added quite a bit to how we're marketing the property. So the use of videography, drone footage, absolutely everything. We don't need to because the market's really busy. I mean, we're selling left sort of hand over fist. But we need to elevate ourselves. We need to make ourselves stand out. And we need the clients to remember us for specific things. And again, you're nurturing your leads. These people, yes, they might not do it today. They might not do it tomorrow. Give it a year, 2, 3 years. They're going to just walk into your door. And again, we hear, I know Perry goes on about it and Chris Kay goes on about getting those higher fees. You need to be the person go-to in your area. This is only another part of that to stick you in front of people. And if you're not doing it, then, good luck in 12, 18 months' time, in my opinion.
Tom Panos, the Aussie trainer guru coach, talks about becoming the attraction agent, doesn't he? Where actually, if you whisper it quietly, a lot of the very best Aussie agents now have reached that stage where, yes, they had to, you don't get to the top straight away by definition, but actually they're not having to do the hours and hours of prospecting that made them the success because actually they are way on the top of that.
They're kind of beyond that now, aren't they? They're at that top edge.
Actually reiterate, as long as they keep their activity levels up, we've just spoke about the board's mentality. You keep them up to date with relevant information, market information and everything else there, and the board element there, and you've got a really powerful combination of tools, haven't you?
Absolutely. And I think that's it. We're all trying to do lots of little bits and bobs, and it's having that, I suppose, that mentality to get the regime in place to make sure you are doing it. I mean, you probably see I do things on Tuesday, Thursday, and a Saturday every single week. If I miss one, it's because I failed and I feel guilty for it. And then next week, it feels I'm catching up and apologizing for it, because you get into that. You need to get into that mind frame and that sort of time set of doing everything. And again, that's where the nurture package, it will just take it away from people. They don't have to worry about it. It's just ticking away in the background. And that's your future income.
Cool. We've got some more comments here. So you got a fan club building. Look at this. Looking good.
Hi, Mike.
Thanks for my comment there, Mike. Don't worry about it. I'm okay. Brady, again, it's reaching that stage. We can tell it's in lockdown. You're all right. Where's the
other drinks available?
We've got a testimony here put up by the team. The team at Rightval are always on hand to provide advice and support. The setup was quick and easy, and we get a really good amount of leads via their system. I'd definitely recommend them. Shelley Hurst of Brightmove Residential. Thank you for that. And then a second one there. Really smooth system, easy to use, great leads, good support. Because some consistent themes coming through here, Roy, isn't there? Nick Bay, City Living.
For me as an agent, sorry to interrupt you. For me as an estate agent, I understand about the customer care. Yeah, we don't always get it right. Okay, it's not always going to be for everybody. I get that. I mean, if we have made a mistake, or if we do make a mistake on anything, we'll put our hands up and go, fine, look, we'll work this out. We're not the big corporate company that's got to be drilling that many sort of accounts into the business every single week and every month. We're doing this because we understood what we were missing and what we needed. So all we've done is create a product that we could replicate for other people to benefit from.
Perfect. Well, Rob obviously jumps in post beer, all about nurturing those leads into warm ones, not expecting them to convert instantly, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, Rob. Building that trust, building that consistently over time. So when that person does come to think about selling, you're ahead of the queue, isn't it?
You're there, aren't you? Yeah, you're the kind of the natural go-to person.
And he just puts a bit of meat on the bones. So that average conversion time is 9 months for instant val to. Now that is okay, Rob. You're my favourite person today. Those sorts of stats I absolutely love, because actually people talk about, obviously, the self gratification, getting the quick leads and working. What do they call them in the film? Glenn Glary, Glenn Ross, wasn't it? Those get the hottest of leads there, but actually, those are the ones that you're normally having to fight over with the local agent. You certainly haven't normally built up any sort of any brand, any loyalty with. So they're going to go with a person who does the best appraisal or
the cheap fee.
You haven't differentiated yourself, have you? But if you've got that in your kit bag, that they've seen you and the brand's built up there, that's going to help 10 times over, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. And I think where we're trying to reach out, myself being an independent estate agent, is reaching out to equivalent businesses. We can deal with big corporates, that's not a problem at all. But it's trying to put something back in to give them a fighting chance, I suppose. And as we said before, affordable at $299 a month. And that, Simon, that includes your valuation tool, that includes all your nurturing, that includes £100 Facebook spend. We do all your advertising for you on there. I don't think you could get it better value unless you learnt it yourself. And again, a lot of people out there try and learn it, fail at it, and it's just because they haven't got the time to do it.
Spot on. So just reiterate for us what's included in the package then.
Okay, so if you do the fully nurtured, okay, so you get the valuation tool to host wherever you want it. It's a unique URL for yourself. Within the dashboard, you get access to everything. You can change everything, landing pages, everything at any time you want to change. You've got full control over that. You also get market insight, so you'll get an idea of I suppose really whether it's mobile or if it's laptops or desktop inquiries, male, female, property sizes, just lots of different information. So if you do decide to run your own adverts, or if you're looking at a leaflet drop, if you know that there's lots of people that are looking for semi-detached houses and they're doing evaluations, that helps you to go and then target that extra bit of I suppose nurturing you're trying to do with leaflet dropping. So you get that. You also get Emily, who is absolutely fantastic. She's always on hand. Okay. Emily's skills are
the way you always talk about Emily. I feel like Arthur Daly used to talk about her indoors. I never get to see Emily, but all I do is hear about how fantastic is she. We're gonna have to get her on just to prove she exists in the future.
Well, if we're live, she might be watching this upstairs, so she might come down if I ask her. Come in.
Show your face. Let us know the star of the show, Emily.
Emily, come downstairs. So you get Emily, and what Emily will do is she'll be creating your adverts that we'll run on white labeled Facebook pages. And our experience, we tried it with agents' names on there, their banners, their logos, and the response rate was just a lot lower. And I think it's because customers, they just want to know what the price is. They're not overly concerned initially about which agent it is. And sometimes if they see an agent, it's preconceived ideas. Don't want to deal with them. I'm not going to click on that. I don't want them ringing me. So the kind of the white label thing works really well. And then you're into that nurture point. You are sort of saying, well, we are from Joe Blogg's estate agents. And you're building that sort of trust with the client. So £100 Facebook spend, you get the valuation tool, you get Emily, you get all your nurture systems. Okay. And it's $299 a month, Simon.
That's absolutely great. And what would you expect? I mean, obviously, what do you expect the benefits for the agent there to be? What can they expect to see, do you think, for that investment?
Well, so I mean, if you look at it number-wise, it can vary. There's so many variables at the moment, particularly if anybody knows how Facebook advertising runs. If, say, for example, in our hometown here, I had 4 other agents running very equivalent adverts. Facebook will go into, what do they call it? It's like an auction type thing. So it will start costing you a little bit more per advert, but we'll be monitoring that. We don't change it every month, okay? But we are watching and checking that we are going to be getting the best value out of this for clients. Lead numbers, again, Simon, they can vary. We've seen anything up to just under 100 leads a month. and then some might drop off down to 20. Again, a lot of it will depend on the size of area. Okay, what the market's doing. Obviously, during lockdown, it went a little bit quiet at the start for a lot of agents. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to give away a figure, but I'd say you've got to be 30 or 40 a month initially to start seeing come in.
Excellent. And I was going to ask, why would an agent not just do this themselves? But I'm kind of answering myself, Anna, because really it's the point that they're not doing it themselves, even with the best of will, that's the reason why.
I think it's the time element, Simon. And I think it's also, is it the fear of the unknown? I don't know. As salespeople, we always want to be recognised for being the top of our game. And in theory, second place will never do. I'm probably guilty of it with a lot of this anyway. I would rather get somebody to do a particular part of, I suppose, my job, if that's their skills, like the videographer chat we've got. A professional photographer. We've got Emily as the marketeer. Yes, I can pick up a camera. Yes, I can sort of jump on Facebook and create, but that's not my specialist subject, as they would say on the telly. But and I think that's where a lot of agents might, I suppose, just put it as a second rate because they're better at listing and selling than they are at putting I suppose a bit of advert content out there.
Okay, and what's the terms and conditions around this? How do you get on board? What are you signing up to exactly?
Okay, so when you come on board with us, you get standard would be a 14-day free trial on just the valuation tool, but we double that for Kerfuffle members to 28 days. As soon as you want to jump onto the managed, or if you want to upgrade to the nurtured program, unfortunately there's no free trial on it, but we don't tie you in. It's literally sort of 30-day, month-to-month contract. There's not this sort of 12-month and then rolling, whatever. Yeah. If you don't like it, you bail out. It's kind of that simple. We didn't want to put a gun against people's head. I think if you try and tie people in for too long, again, I think it pops up on regularly on some of the Facebook groups. If you're trying to tie them in and you're not confident in your product, well, we're 100% confident in our product. And if a client's not happy, then yeah, fine, we don't have an issue.
Absolutely spot on, and as you said, thank you. Yeah, once more, doubling up your already generous free trial there for 28 days. So my maths isn't, or my calendar skills aren't particularly good, but that strikes me as being particularly good timing to just about get in contact with you, give it a full run, obviously till pretty much towards the end of the year.
Absolutely.
Understanding really, absolutely no risk to yourself, whether this could be a key part of your marketing makeup for 2021.
Yeah, I'm going to get Emily to come downstairs, by the way, just to say hello to you. You do realise this, don't you? It beggars that question, Simon. And going back in the years, it used to be. So I was going to put "come down now." There we go. See if a woman actually listens to me. That's always a first. But again, if you go back over the years, Christmas was always a very quiet period, I think, as you say. It kind of, when I remember, and about now, really, we were rushing to get the last few sort of bits done. And then December was like early lunch, go a bit of Christmas shopping, go and see a friend, have a coffee. But things have changed massively now. I think with the digital age, we've seen a huge shift in the pattern of people buying it, as in the timing of it. Obviously, 2020 has just been a completely new year for everybody in everything. All that's thrown out the window. We're still very busy. I think we're still going to be very busy. It's been fueled along with things like stamp duty, exemption and so forth. And I suppose the pent-up frustration people want to buy. I don't think
behind you.
Oh my goodness. Let me jump. Emily, you've got to come in here because they don't actually believe that you exist. So
hello, sorry. He kept referring to you and saying you existed. I said, all we do is keep hearing your name. And I didn't know whether that was just Roy at the weekends putting on a wig. So, Emily, thanks for joining us here. What do you, Roy was talking about how you'd kind of spotted this opportunity and thought that the nurturing was a good idea. What do your clients tell you about the sort of, the way that they're experiencing the product at the moment?
Yeah, they're really enjoying it. Obviously, the market's quite rife. Really busy. They're so busy, they don't have the time necessarily to sit down and kind of deal with the digital marketing side of things, which is where I come in and kind of take it off the back for them. and just let them basically carry on, manage the actual clients themselves in the sense of they're actually the ones talking to them and doing the actual valuations, but I'm the one that kind of nurturing them from cold leads to hot leads, basically.
Excellent. And give us who's your most annoying client? No, you don't have to say that. Well, that's always the way. That's what our job is, isn't it, Roy? Is to be the most high maintenance client out of them all. So yeah, that makes sense. So you're really enjoying it then, yeah?
I'm loving it.
It's in that marketing sense, isn't it? Actually, when you do nurture these leads like that, everyone feels like a little goal, doesn't it? A reward and making that work. And there's something incredibly, you can sales is either hunter gathering, isn't it, or kind of farming in terms of what you're doing there. There's something so rewarding in terms of putting in place these nurture plans and just seeing those leads start to trickle in on a consistent basis.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think it's more rewarding, like you say, when you've got a client that you've kind of been nurturing for a few months, 6 months, etc., rather than a client that's just gone, yeah, okay, I'll have a valuation straight away,
Yeah, the quick wins, isn't it? The quick wins are great because that's today's money. But what as Emily's kind of put a point out there, and we've discussed, Simon, it's all about next year, year after, the year after that. Put the groundwork in now. It's not a huge amount of groundwork. You've just got to consistently put out to them, and you'll win the business, or we feel you will, and it'll certainly give you that extra step as you walk in the door.
I think the key thing is if we know that the very best, it's really only the very best that keep on top of this, isn't it? It's a case of that opportunity about the good are getting better, and everyone else is going to be left in the pack, isn't it? So it's really, it's honestly, it's a straight choice, isn't it? Do you want to be stuck back there, or do you want to or do you want to obviously take that unfair market share?
No, this is it, and I think that's again keeping everything affordable for people. So we understand that a lot of people don't have £500, £600, £1,000 a month to spend on something that they're not seeing a result today.
Yeah, certainly. I know you obviously quite rightly caveated it. Everyone's experience is different, but for the amount of leads you're talking about there, that is a very good and cost-effective. Literally lead acquisition price to be getting on board with. So, and this is it's totally measurable, isn't it? People throw ROI out there. Many other suppliers do it, and actually, it's quite difficult. It's intangible. Was it really? But with you guys, 100%, don't you, whether Rightval's delivering for you?
Yeah, and I think also it comes down if we go back over to estate agent always sort of bangs on about it's personal, they're an independent company and they're looking after their clients. We are. I mean, to be fair, I'm there. I mean, a lot of agents I speak to have got my mobile. Don't have a problem at all to publicly shout it, but quite happy to talk to people. Emily's already there. We're always on chat. We're always on Facebook, and that's it for us. It is making it personal. But it's not just the bottom line money. We just want to, as you say, make something that works for the agents that don't have a massive marketing budget, but at the same token can understand that if they're putting the effort in now or investing in something that's going to put the effort in now, over the next few years, they'll get a benefit later on.
I think the other thing is as well, that's real, I've only just thought really, but in terms of a big benefit of this, if we're honest, agents certainly in the moment aren't short of leads, are they? A lot of them are talking about, it's actually about how do you deal with the best leads of all, and you need to have a policy in place for dealing with the rest of them, which I don't like the phrase, but everyone uses it, the tire kickers there. And what's a beautiful part about this, though, if it's a carefully nurtured lead, there's a much better chance that actually they're going to understand your brand and what you're delivering and everything else, and they're not going to come to you accidentally in the way that it might have if it was one of those kind of leads like that. So you're getting a better chance of conversion, I would imagine, down the road. I mean, that would be really interesting looking at the conversion rate of those down the line.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think as you well know, I'm kind of all over Facebook as much as I can for the right content on a regular basis. But that I'm seeing is taking. I mean, I've only been really doing that since last August. I'm now seeing the benefits of that. We're getting phone calls from clients going, "Oh, well, I've seen stuff you're putting out there. You're ready," and it's kind of the same principle, I suppose. You've got to consistently be there, and as you say, be the natural choice for clients when they're ready.
Well, I think one of the things, if I just share my screen here, let's just have a look. We've got your landing page up here on the wonderful pink site. So can you see that? Have you got that there? Okay, so there we are, and look, there's your wonderful kerfuffle deal down there, and there's the reviews as well. And look, you don't get 5-star reviews, do you, unless you're delivering basically, and obviously Emily there's delivering for you. So I think that's a big testament, isn't it? Really, if you can continue to charge, be proactive for your clients, take a lot of the legwork out of it, you're going to be seen in a very positive light by most agents, I would imagine. Emily, thanks very much. Lovely to meet you. As I said, I was only challenging him a little bit lightly that you didn't.
She's coming down. She's going to come and introduce you to everybody.
He'd mentioned you about 37 times, and I was getting suspicious. That was all. Okay, all right, Roy. Well, look, once more, let's just say they can all reach out to you. You're right. You're even more prevalent than me on Facebook. The difference is that you're there in a business sense, whereas I'm posting all wacky
all the childish stuff, which I love.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say we don't talk about what I post. Off the watershed, they say, don't they? Yeah. But yeah, come and find them. Go directly to them, obviously, or come via our website. Click on the I'm interested button, and we'll forward on the details to you. And it sounds like everybody should be looking and having a look at this over the coming weeks as it starts to quieten down.
Happy to chat. I mean, we're both happy to chat to anybody. Again, just run through the basics of it, the benefits, etc., and how it works. And yeah, I think, just to reiterate again, it's affordable, it works. We've tested it on our own products, on our own agency. There's no tie into it either.
Well, for me, it's a triple whammy, and you remind me, really, takeaways, time saver, isn't it? It's a money saver, and ultimately, at the end of the day, it's a marketing savior because you're being proactive and you've got the consistency. So there's three ticks in a box that most people don't have at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we like to think so, yeah.
Great, good stuff. Well, look, keep up the good work, obviously, there, and we'll love to hear from you over the coming months as that develops.
Cool. Brilliant. Thank you, Simon. Appreciate it. You soon.